Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a really fascinating genetic mystery, one that connects the legendary warlord Genghis Khan to a totally stunning 21st century scientific discovery.
Okay, to really get our heads around the scale of what we're about to uncover, let's start with a question that seems completely out of left field. But I promise, the answer isn't about history, it's about math. And it sets the stage for a mind-blowing revelation that was hiding in our DNA all along.
You see, the answer to this whole puzzle wasn't found in some dusty old history book. Nope. It was hidden deep inside the human genome, a clue that had been sitting there undiscovered for 800 years.
To get there, let's go back to that kind of strange comparison. It's a really great way to understand the incredible, almost unbelievable power of exponential reproduction over huge stretches of time. The idea is pretty simple, actually. If a single person from, say, 2,000 years ago had children, and then their children had children, and so on, well, just the sheer mathematics of it all means that today, a huge chunk of the population could totally share that same lineage.
But here's the thing. This isn't just some hypothetical thought experiment. It's the perfect setup to explore a real-world case that was uncovered by modern science. And believe me, this case is way more dramatic than any theory.
And this idea, this concept, actually led scientists to a real-world discovery, a genetic revelation that would seriously puzzle researchers and end up rewriting a piece of human history.
So picture this, it's 2003, and a team of scientists is doing a broad genetic survey. They're just doing their work when they stumble upon this massive anomaly. They found a specific Y chromosome marker that was just showing up over and over and over again, way more than it ever should have.
And the scale of what they found was just astounding. A full 8% of men across this vast region, I'm talking from the Pacific Ocean all the way to the Caspian Sea, were all carrying the exact same genetic marker. This meant that somehow they were all related.
So what does that 8% actually mean? Well, it translates to a number that is just staggering. 16 million people alive today, all descended from a single man who lived about 900 years ago.
Okay, so a discovery like that immediately leads to one huge, obvious question. Who on Earth was this single, incredibly prolific ancestor?
The researchers had the genetic data, right? So they knew the what and the when. But to figure out the who, well, they had to cross-reference their genetic map with the historical record. And when they did, everything pointed in one direction. The timing of when this lineage started, about 900 years ago, and the specific geography of where the genetic marker was found, it all pointed directly to one historical figure, Genghis Khan. I mean, when they laid the genetic map over a historical one, the match was just undeniable. The genetic marker was most common in the very heart of the 13th century Mongol Empire, and it spread out along the exact paths of Genghis Khan's conquests.
This revelation is huge, right? But it immediately raises another question. How could one man, even a really powerful one, possibly pull this off on such an epic scale?
Was this just some sort of historical accident? You know, a simple byproduct of power and conquest? Or was there something far more deliberate at play here?
Well, the evidence suggests this was no random thing at all. It seems to have been a conscious and strategic approach, a calculated effort to build a dynasty not of land, but of DNA.
And to understand the method, we don't even have to guess. We can just look at the incredible examples set by his descendants. This practice wasn't just limited to Genghis. It became a family tradition on a scale that is just hard to wrap your head around.
I mean, just consider the scale of this operation. To continue the genetic legacy, Genghis Khan's own grandson, Kublai Khan, is said to have maintained a harem of 7,000 women. 7,000.
And this was a systematic, almost industrial process. These women were meticulously cycled through his chambers, and their visits were specifically timed to coincide with their peak fertility, all to ensure the highest possible chance of conception and the continuation of the genetic line.
So, what does all of this mean for us today, centuries after the fall of the Mongol Empire?
It's this incredible, unbroken chain that runs straight through history. The actions of one man back in the 13th century led directly to a tangible living presence discovered in the 21st, a biological inheritance carried by millions of people walking the earth right now.
And this brings us right back to our starting point, that hypothetical idea of a single lineage multiplying exponentially over the centuries. It's not a hypothetical at all.
The story of Genghis Khan is the ultimate real-world proof of that concept.
So, the ultimate takeaway here is this. History's influence isn't just found in books or in ancient ruins. It is quite literally written into the DNA of millions of people alive today, the hidden, living legacy of a genetic empire.
And that leaves us with a final, fascinating thought about our own hidden connections to the past. It really makes you wonder, if one man could leave such an indelible mark on humanity, what other incredible stories are waiting to be discovered, locked away in our own genetic code?